So when we talk about empires, we can remember successful examples like British Empire and unsuccessful examples like Austro-Hungarian and late Ottoman Empire. But Ottomans are the best example how to lose everything and how you shouldn't build your own empire. Let's look at the Ottomans in the late 17th century. Chunky boy who threatens the whole Europe, controls the whole Balkans and trying to capture Vienna. Sounds like a description of a real Sigma in the world of empires. But 200 years later. Guys, I guess someone need to save this badass, cause if he collapses, we would have even bigger problems with aftermath of it. For real, major European powers delayed the inevitable collapse of the Ottomans for more than 100 years. Just imagine that in some moments, Russia, which wanted to destroy Ottomans and take back Constantinople, even they helped Ottomans not to fall under the giant pressure that they had from the other European countries. Ottoman position in the last 200 years of their existence was like, okay guys, we need to destroy the sick man of Europe, but we need to do that so carefully, taking piece by piece of their land, but not to take too much so they can still be alive. The best example of it is Berlin Conference, when Russians have successfully defeated the Ottomans in the late 19th century, but major European countries said that, nah, bro, you can't take too much lands. So Russia and their allies didn't get as much as they wanted to. But what did Ottomans do wrong that caused the status of sick man of Europe, and which mistakes that Ottomans did you shouldn't do if you want to build your own successful empire? This is going to be a list of 5 points where Ottoman Empire made huge mistakes in their history. Even from the modern world, you know that religious politics is kinda important thing. People are divided because of religion, and we know a lot of examples. Sudan and South Sudan, India and Pakistan, Northern and Southern Nigeria. So if you want to unite people with different religions in one country, what should you do? Right, you should unite them and give different people equal rights to trust in any gods or god, have the same rights, same possibilities, and for the most part, Ottomans did it really good. Their main religion was Islam, and no one had problems with that. Orthodox Christians and Sunni Islams were living good together. Even more, good part of the Grand Viziers in the Ottoman Empire in 15th, 16th and 17th centuries were Orthodox people. In fact, that was the prime minister back then. So you are an Islamic empire, but your prime minister isn't even Turk and he's Orthodox. To create strong and successful empire, it is one of the most important rules. But in the late Ottoman Empire, well, everything went wrong. So this is Young Turks, political movement of young Turkish officers who wanted to say fuck to the old rule, fuck to the old dusty empire, glory to the new Ottoman identity, glory to the reformed Turkish state. And want to clearly underline, they wanted to make liberal reforms. Oh and yeah, in a few decades those dudes will make an Armenian genocide. Plus, they proclaimed a couple of ideas which didn't contain any Christians in it. Thanks to them, religious question in the Ottoman Empire became an important one, and from that moment, Ottoman Empire has started to divide even faster. Also, it is the beginning of tensions and clashes between Mediterranean boys, Turks and Greeks. Number 2. Expanding of empire. You see, back then in 14th, 15th, 16th and 17th centuries, expanding your lands was one of the best ways to get rich, to get taxes from the locals, to get their manpower, to get their supplies. And Ottomans were truly masters in it, conquering a lot of new lands in short period of time. Balkans, Middle East, North Africa. Ottomans are everywhere. But later, things have changed. With the industrialization, huge progress made in the military sphere, with needs to build a modern weapon. New and old lands became a burden for the empires. Now you can't just own lands and be happy with it. Now you need to develop them, build infrastructure, build military factories, build logistics between regions. And you see, Ottomans didn't actually do it and didn't want to do it. Even watching on modern Balkans, territories that were longer under control of the Ottomans are less developed than territories that quickly separated from them. To understand all the absurdity, Egypt, which was a satellite of the Ottomans, has almost conquered them in 1830s. And who do you guess did save Ottomans from conquering them by Egypt? Yes, it was Russians. Because while Ottoman Empire was chilling and drinking Turkish coffee, doing nothing with growing dependence from foreign powers, Egypt did pretty good economical reforms, military reforms and other reforms inside their country. And we all understand that Egypt wasn't the most successful power in the region, but even Egypt could finish the Ottoman history and Ottoman industry. Ottoman military forces could do nothing with that. In fact, Turkish territories have started to develop only after the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, and they started to develop under the rule of Mustafa Kemal Pasha. Number 3. Dependence from foreign powers and countries. So if you want to be a strong empire, you shouldn't depend from other countries, because one day you can become Ottoman Empire, which couldn't do anything without foreign powers. Who studied Turkish officers? Germans, who has built even Turkish part of Berlin-Baghdad railroad. Germans, who has helped them with the military equipment. Germans and British Empire. Moreover, their territorial unity depended from the foreigners. Just remember that their allies and best friends has just took their piece of land named Cyprus, but they presented this occupation as, well, we will own this land, bro, but formal it's yours, informal it's mine. Best allies that you could ever imagine. Number 4. Reforms. Earlier we talked about them and that fact that Ottomans really needed it. For a certain amount of times in 19th century they really tried to do something, but even when they proclaimed one reforms, they made everything in the other way. At that time, Ottomans really needed at least some liberal reforms, which were even made in other European conservative empires, such as Russian and Austrian. In fact, in 19th and 20th centuries, Ottomans have still lived in the medieval ages with medieval rules. But Ottomans did a good thing. They adopted their first constitution in 1876. But there was actually only one small problem. It didn't work until 1908. As well as constitutional monarchy, which was proclaimed in that constitution, didn't work until 1908. And when Young Turks came to the power and started their own reforms, everything got even worse. Reforms weren't pushed to the end, they were made pretty bad, but the only good thing that they invented was a new idea and new meaning of existence of the Ottoman Empire. Well, for doing that we can give them a small plus, because empire without any existential idea will collapse. That is one of the main reasons why Russian Empire has collapsed. Number 5. The Great War. This huge conflict showed to everyone problems that I mentioned before and even made them worse. And when you are losing war, you always need to blame someone. For that time it was Armenians. After Armenian genocide, Sassanid Empire got even worse and tensed to the limit. Unsuccessful attacks on Russian positions, British successes in Iraq and Hejaz put an end of the 600 years existence of the Ottomans. As I mentioned before, Ottomans really had some cool and progressive ideas, which modern-day Turkey uses to build their own nowadays empire, such as pan-Turkic idea. Don't forget that Ottoman ruler was not only the Sultan, he also was a Caliph of all Muslims. It's like Pope in Christian world. Just imagine being the most important Islamic figure in nowadays world. It would give them a lot of opportunities and ways to influence the whole Islamic world. But as I think, it is good that Ottomans have collapsed, because it was a great punch for them to start making something really effective and change the whole system. This year will be 100 years anniversary since the end of the Ottoman Empire and proclaiming the Turkish Republic. Power of nowadays Turkey is a result of bad decision of Ottoman Empire in the past.